Hello and welcome to Hidden Assets. I am Chris, and with me today is Brian.
Hello.
And we are casting the Raygun Lounge Store Championship. This is the, I believe, semifinals, a fourth match of the top eight. And on the left is Thomas, and he is playing Blue Sun. And on our right is Preston, all the way up from Portland, and he is playing Noise. And yeah, before we get going, Brian, did you have a plug you wanted to give us?
Yes, I do. I run a game night at for Netrunner at Phoenix Comics and Games on Capitol Hill every Monday night at 7. And we also have a Create an ID tournament coming up on May 16th. And there will be more information on that in the Seattle Netrunner Facebook group in the middle of April.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's always good to have more places to go play Netrunner in the area, so check that out, everyone. And all right, so off to a pretty standard start for Thomas, Ice, Ice, Money, and on our right we've got Preston, just economy, full-blown economy here. We've got Earthrise Hotel, Daily Cast, Progenitor from Order and Chaos, and Sure Gamble. And so he's just doing noisy things, but this isn't the usual sort of standard noise. This is a particular kind of build. You know a bit about this, right, Preston? Right, Brian? My
Yeah,
bad.
we have we have Progenitor out, and so we're going to be probably getting Hivemind out onto Progenitor to protect it, and then using Progenitor to boost all kinds of different viruses and make purging less effective.
Right. So we'll see Chicana probably, and maybe Incubator, stuff like that.
Yes, stuff like that.
Very cool.
Grimoire coming out. Earthrise Hotel is really good for this kind of build. Just part of the recent suite of draw support that Anarch's been getting. It's making them a lot better. I've had worse. Earthrise Hotel, making it so that Anarchs don't have to resort to using Wildside to actually get these many cards they need to build their rig.
Absolutely. Do you think we'll see a shift back to Wildside now that that Anarch genetics card is out?
Possibly, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, on the one hand, it is uh, sort of another combo in what looks to be sort of a combo heavy archetype. On the other hand, the sort of combos that we're talking about can sort of work with the pieces fitting in different ways and sort of uh, snowball more than everything sort of like locks into place at the same time.
Yeah.
And of course, Wildside will help you find your genetics.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I could see it. Earthrise Hotel is just a really solid card, though.
Yeah. Oh, it gave Noise such a boost. I mean, having
Yeah.
the extra click was
hmm
indeed a big deal. It turns out. But so
The gin
Thomas,
there that has just come out should also help these some of these combinations come together.
right, right. Find more cash. Find some maybe parasites if he needs them, I guess. But
Yeah.
probably just hive minds and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff like that. So we got a cache on Preston's side. It's
It's
just
interesting to take a look over at the corp. Three unresed assets or upgrades in the remotes, and two pieces of ice. Not a lot of money for Blue Sun.
yeah, that is unusual. It seems that Noise though is the best to keep him poor, because keep the Blue Sun player poor, because Noise doesn't really run that much, and Blue Sun really punishes you for face checking ice. Um,
Yeah.
so he's gonna go check that remote, and it's a reversed accounts. That's something you probably want to trash here, and he does.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. This Blue Sun deck is a bit more horizontal than I should say standard Blue Sun decks, just because of the, it's got a couple more assets. It tends to just, at least the way Thomas plays it, he just throws them out there and hopes you check them. as a tax, which is fine. We've got a Jackson in the remote and a data pike in front of it, and he's going to draw a card and discard an agenda. We don't want that pry wreck anyway. So Preston's got his Aesop's Pawn Shop engine online. He's just pawning stuff, pawning a cache. And he has an incubator with one counter on it, because I believe it comes into play with a counter on it, or does it get one at the beginning of turn? I can't remember.
I cannot remember either, but I think it's at the beginning of the turn.
Right.
Oh no, it came in with one because of Grimoire.
Oh, because of Grimoire. Okay, that's right. All of these pieces. I'm not a noise player myself, so excuse me if I mess up some of the cards. I don't usually play. Don't usually mill people.
Yeah, well, it's interesting the mill effect here against Blue Sun. You need to be worried about the Scorch punishment coming out of Blue Sun. I don't know if Thomas is playing a vegan version or not, but generally speaking, noise takes a little while, and with cash, the money sort of comes and goes in spurts, and there are windows where the Scorch threat is very real. I don't know if he's running Plascrete in this deck, but I've had worse makes that that Scorch threat a little bit less scary.
Right. I do see a Scorched in hand for Thomas. So
that said, he's also just not running very much. I think he's made one run on that reversed accounts.
yeah, I believe so, and I think he might have run on the outside. Was an asset that turned out to be boot camp. I think so. Maybe 2 runs so far. But here's a Darwin, and here's an I've had worse. And Preston's
using the I've had worse to draw. Not that concerned about getting scorched, but that's okay. It's going to take him a while to set up to run anyway.
Right. And he doesn't have to run until he has a ton of money anyway, if he's worried about beating a Sea-Source Trace or anything like that.
He does not.
Yep.
He's got his daily cast cooking. He's got a lot of... He's sort of on a timer right now, and it looks like the Corp is trying to take advantage of that by pushing out an agenda.
Yeah, I think this is a smart play. He sees that Preston really isn't running a lot. He doesn't have a lot of cash. He'll get some at the beginning of turn, of course, but there's just not a real way in with that Darwin right now. So I'd be interested to see what Preston's play is here. Does he go for the agenda? Does he let him have it? Does he just keep building his board?
I think right now with the progenitor out, you're working to set up your combination. You want to get your hive mind out. You want to get your combo pieces out. Losing a couple of agenda points right now is not that big a deal. If it is an Atlas, an over-advanced Atlas, that could be a little scary, but that's really the worst case scenario, and it's not that bad.
So it looks like he is going to just build his board. He's going to use Jid to fetch out a hive mind. I assume that's going to go right on the progenitor, and gets, I believe, that comes into play with a counter on it, and then it gets one for Grimoire. So now we've got Grimoire, we've got hive mind with 2 counters, and then there's a Shikana played on the Jin. So now Shikana has 3 advancement counters on it.
Yeah, it comes in with 1 from Grimoire, and then gets a couple from the hive mind.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so Thomas just immediately purges virus counters. That's pretty smart.
That said, I mean, it holds off scoring that agenda. It gives a little bit more time for that daily cast to cook off, and just slows the game down. And against this very controlling noise build, time is an asset for the runner.
Right.
We've got we've definitely got a forced purge there, and that's part of what noise is trying to achieve, I think. I don't think he's unhappy with getting purged.
No, he might. I don't know, he looks like he's thinking about making a run here. He doesn't have that many credits, and he's got only a Darwin at 1. He's gonna draw. Let's draw again. He's looking for something. He finds a cyber feeder. It's not really what you want right now.
It does help with those virus installs
It
if he
does.
wants to be putting out more viruses. But
Here's a virus breeding
um,
ground, so now he's got a steady supply of virus counters.
now that's very, very effective. It means that the purges become uh, much less effective because you'll purge and you will purge out the virus breeding ground, but the virus breeding ground will pick up one at the start of the turn, and then you throw it on the hive mind, and it just sort of populates everything.
Right.
Um, Especially if you're able to get 2 virus breeding grounds out, that's really the magic number. At the start of your turn, they'll each collect 1. You can pop them both, get the hive mind up to 3, and that'll activate your Chicana or Chicanas and really start locking down the corp.
So looks like wow. Okay, so in the meantime, Thomas scored out an NAPD, which is a fine agenda to see from the runner side.
Hmm.
And then Preston goes and runs archives. There's quite a lot in archives, and no Jackson on the table, so he steals an NAPD out of archives. It's
And
pretty
you have
good.
to think, if you're seeing an APD in archives, I mean, maybe you've milled it, but
It's possible that he's just flooded, right? I mean, he might just
yeah,
have a ton of agendas, and that's the first thing you want to pitch if you have
yeah,
to. Yeah. So ice on archives, install in that remote, and pass turn.
does look like he has a lot of agendas in hand.
Yep. Yeah, has a Pyrrhec and an Atlas at least. So feed the whale. Whale's up to 3. Actually 4 with Hive Mind.
Darwin at 4 is pretty strong.
Yep. Gets you through Lotus Field, which is kind of what you're worried about. Uh, Deja Vu, cash, and another cash, I believe. Is that what he grabbed? 2 cash? Yep.
Yep, more money.
Man, how powerful is that card? It's insane. So good.
Cash or
Yeah.
Deja Vu?
Oh no, well Deja
Or
Vu is
both.
both are great. No, I love Deja Vu, but man, cash just in this deck it's insane. It just the amount of pressure you can exert without even running is insane.
Well, especially with the Aesop's out. I
We have
mean,
a
it's just
we have a
there's
run on
so much.
R&D. Well, that sorry. Looks like we have a run on R&D, and
Sort
he's
of
got
shocking. We're actually seeing a run.
you know I think he's trying to get another counter on Shikana, and he face plants into an archer.
That's
Wow.
probably the worst thing that you
Yeah.
can encounter in this situation with all those programs on Jin,
Yeah.
2
Wow.
program trashing subroutines. You're losing the progenitor with the hive mind on it. You're losing the Jin with the cache and the Chicana on it. Uh, the, the board state swing here is massive, and
Yeah.
I think definitely worth the 2 agenda points from the NAPD forfeited.
Oh, absolutely. I think if I was the Corp, I'd be delighted at that play. Like, all right, I don't really care about this NAPD. I didn't even
I'm
want
ju-
to score it, but you know,
is a little odd for him to be running R&D at that point. I'd be interested in knowing the thought process that was going on there with the Darwin only at 3.
yeah.
But
But it was at 5 with Hive Mind, so I
I
mean
was at
that.
5 with Hive.
Yeah, so I mean that makes some sense, but I think you're more worried about seeing an archer over the remote in this matchup because there's no inside job. You have to go through it. So David is really Anarch's main and almost only way through. Uh, or
He basically hit the exact worst possible ice
yeah.
given that situation.
Now we have a new ice remote, and something installed in that remote. If I were Thomas, I would be going for a score here. I would probably be going for something big because, um, oh no, he's going for an Jackson. So he must have a bunch of agendas now. Yeah, there's a Utopia fragment, um, the Corpse
Well, he
Utopia.
needs to be worried about just losing to Mill. So you need to be putting out and playing those Jacksons and being and popping them in advance because you need to be worried about Hades fragment.
Yeah,
So that's actually another thing that just slows the corp down. It doesn't seem like a lot playing Jacksons and popping them, but it sucks up a click. It sucks up turns. It just buys more time. Even if you never score any agendas out of archives as noise in this kind of build, just creating that slog for the corp to go through
yeah,
can really benefit you just rebuilding your board state, which is what's happening right now. It's sort of a race to put Humpty back together again.
right, right. And good guy Thomas putting the correct virus counter on the whale. And so yeah, I mean, if I were Thomas at this point, and I'm not, but one thing I'd be looking to do, and I would have been doing this from the beginning, is you just rush against noise because you know that
Yeah,
noise can't go run until he's set up. You can't do anything until he's got everything set up. So if you just rush out 3/5s and start flipping archers with a Pyrrhac, then you're kind of good. I mean, you just put ETR ice on a remote and just go for it. Um,
it's a bit of a meta call. I mean, Anarch. There certainly are Anarch builds that can launch at you and go for your throat early.
yeah,
Unlikely to see them out of noise though, and right now we're not seeing a lot of that stuff with Knights and Overminds
no, no,
and so on.
I don't think I saw. Well, no, I did see. I did see Knight that game this day. Sorry, pardon my.
Maybe out of Max,
No, actually, out of Reyna, there was a Reyna deck that was running
okay,
Knight. Um,
sort of Anatomy of
but
Anarch.
yeah, but besides that, I didn't see any. Um,
No.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
and
deja
sometimes
vu.
that's the meta call you need to make in the game.
Yep.
Okay, and here we go. Deja vu, uh, rebuilding that board state.
Yep.
It's recovered probably the two most critical pieces that Archer trashed.
Yeah. So he's got money, and now he's got the. Oh, sorry, the Shikana. No, he had a Shikana in hand. He's now got the Hive Mind online Shikana with 3 counters on it. So we're probably going to see
Yeah.
another purge soon. Um,
Grimoire also helping rebuild that board state. That one deja vu has really re-solidified Preston's position here
yeah,
considerably.
I do wonder. So Thomas has been very poor this entire game.
That's true.
I wonder what the merit is to just, installing things, like he's doing now. One advancement, click for credits. One advancement, click for credits. Because you really need to force the corp to start, or the runner to start running. You need to force them into these bad positions, um, so that you can punish them. But, if they're not spending money, your Scorch plan is just, and
It's
if they're
also
not running,
difficult. It's also difficult when you don't have uh, any agenda points out. The big threat right now is another Archer, but it's nullified by the lack of any agendas to forfeit.
yeah, yeah.
Like you said, that Archer play on the remote, which could be good, is not there right now.
Yeah, that's probably what my play would have been. I've been playing a little bit more Wayland lately, so I've been running into situations where I just need to rush agendas out as fast as possible, and like hostile takeover into Archer into score a bunch of things is a decent play. Um,
The other thing is, I mean, with those Chicanas out and the Hive Mind, it just takes ages to score anything. You almost have to play it and kind of advance and slow cook it a little
yeah,
bit if you ever want to get it scored. And that's part of what makes this noise deck so dangerous is that it forces you to just sort of mean, he could be making money, but he's got to get going on that on scoring things,
Right.
and he can't just sort of sit in his fortress either because Noise Mill is putting a clock on this game. I mean, you will get milled out if you just sit back and try to consolidate economically.
Right. Now, one thing he can do, I believe, is if he gets to 3 advancement counters and on at the beginning of his turn, he can purge and then score the agenda, right? So
Yeah.
so that's something that can happen, and that's actually a problem for Noise because you can only put so much on the whale before you need to start running, and it costs a credit or a click. You know.
I'm a little bit of a fan of, well, I was a fan of sort of Surge with Darwin to make up for that. Okay, so here we go. We've got the Scored Atlas.
Yep. Scored Atlas with 1 token on it. That is usually bad news. That is not something you want to see from the runner side. Any number of things could happen now, right? It's, yeah, I mean, in Preston is at 1 credit. Right now, I think what needs to happen is Thomas needs to force him to run. He needs to force him to go get stuff in remotes so that he can punish him, bounce some ice back to hand, and then scorch him. That's what I think he needs to do. But the main problem here is that I think he's maybe a little bit too worried about getting milled out, and that's kind of where his attention is, because he's been very much on top of making sure the Jacksons are on the table when they were,
Yeah.
maybe he's just drawing for the Jacksons and not really thinking about scoring out.
Possibly, although he did just score out.
He did, yeah.
Preston getting the cash out is good again to sort of reconsolidate his economy.
Yeah,
It's going to be very important.
I'm blown away by the fact that this Noise deck can just sort of like slowly grow. And this, I mean, it's very cool the way it kind of like
One of the things we
got back.
forget about is Darwin with counters on it is economy. I mean, it's saving you money when he's not making that many runs, but when he does, he doesn't need. I mean, the subroutines can get a little bit expensive, but the runs can be pretty cheap. And just getting back a little bit to post purge Darwin, the thing with Virus Breeding Ground and Hive Mind Progenitor is that it's always going to be at least strength 3.
Right.
Post purge, because the Hive Mind with Progenitor will have 1, and then you pop the 2 Virus Breeding Grounds and get it up to 3. So it's got that bounce back potential that wasn't there before. Virus Breeding Ground was there to help it out. You needed to rely on surges, and that was not sustainable.
Yeah, it's just got a lot
Is that another and more cash?
More cash? Yeah, I mean, this is just deja vu cash. Yeah. Oh, we do have something on the table. We have a Gravedigger on the table, which I know some of these decks have been running as a one of, and that's a cool card because what you can do is you can click to put tokens on it. It gets tokens whenever you trash an installed corp card. And I believe he just ran archives and sniped 2 agendas. So, okay. So this milling is really working here, and it looks like Thomas is digging for the last Jackson, but it's just not coming. Back to what I was saying,
there's 2 clocks. Yes, Gravedigger.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That Gravedigger can mill the top cards for each virus counter on it. Like, you click to remove a counter and then mill the top card of a R&D, and so it just gives Noise just a little bit more inevitability, especially with those Virus Breeding Grounds on it. So, it's pretty scary.
The one weak link of it is having to trash and install a card to prime it. Not an issue with Virus Breeding Ground.
Right.
And again, it puts more of that countdown clock on the corp. And I mean, it milled the card too to come out. It is a virus itself. So
yeah.
You know that at some point he can just load it up with virus counters and blow away R&D.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's crazy. Wow.
It's sort of a nuclear threat too. If he's got it out, it means that you need to start scoring now. and maybe putting stuff in remotes before you're really ready to do that.
That's very true. So now we've got some slow agenda building here. Yeah, I just feel like it's just not fast enough now. I think he's under the curve. Noise is just beating him in the money race and beating him in the mill race now. And it
Yeah.
looks like his R&D is fairly small.
I mean, and just look at the respective board states. You've got one res piece of ice on the other side. No red. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
nothing out there is doing any work for the corp.
yeah, that's right. I mean, Blue Sun only works if you're bouncing ice back to hand, and they need the corp to or the runner to run in order to do that. So it's sort of nullified the Blue Sun ability. And okay, we have a run on that remote. There's a Caduceus, and
Well,
looks
Darwin's just going to eat that up,
yeah, Darren's gonna get right through that. Is this the last run? Here's a data pike,
and Darwin will eat that up too for a
and
bunch of credits.
and looks like that's
Going
the
down
last
to low
agenda.
credit count,
Yep, that's
but
it.
it's the yeah, he's got it.
I wonder what was in that remote. Oh man, I think it must have been an Ash, or maybe it was a bluff. Um, I don't know, but man, good games. It was an Ash. Man,
Did not have the money for it.
yeah, I did not have the money. I might have just res the first ice for 4, and then res the Ash and made them pay it, like made them pay the trace because maybe he had enough anyway. Yeah, I think he just had enough anyway. But
Those
anyway,
caches just cash after cash after cash. Just put them with enough money to get in there at the end.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that was a great game. Thanks to Thomas. Thanks to Preston. We'll see him in the next round. And thanks to Brian for commentating with me.
You're welcome. Great to see new runner play styles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see Noise doing well again in not the old Noise fashion. So,
No, this is new stuff and very cool.
yep. All right, well, we'll see you guys next time on Hidden Assets. Take it easy.